All right, let's now take you back to one of our top stories where Correctional Services has revealed that the body burnt at Mangaung prison was not that of Thabo Bester. For more on this, we speak to Singabakho Nxumalo, Department of Correctional Services spokesperson. Singabakho, good to speak to you this afternoon. Obviously, many questions I have to ask, as I'd imagine the thousands of viewers that are watching on Newzroom Afrika this afternoon. But let's talk about the information that you know at this point.
A very good afternoon and thank you for having us. We are on record having stated that we were conducting an investigation on Thabo Bester. And there were questions to say, but why did we issue an alert in 2022 confirming that Thabo Bester committed suicide? And we affirmed that that was based on a report that we received from Mangaung Correctional Center being operated by G4S, and we had no doubt to question that particular report. But as this was an unnatural death, the standard operating procedures are very clear that you ought to open an investigation and also report the matter to the South African Police Service. And we did that. Unfortunately, it took much longer than anticipated, but we are now at a stage where we can say we've concluded that particular investigation and we've made some findings, and that's what we've shared today.
So just confirm those findings for us. You know that it is not Thabo Bester. Do we know the individual that actually died in that, what is alleged to be a suicide?
We can confirm that the body that burnt there beyond recognition cannot be linked to Thabo Bester. We are saying this because we've studied the post-mortem report that was given to us, which clearly defined the person that was examined there. Yes, it's an adult male, but the type of injuries that the person had and also the early stages of decomposition, it's impossible that it may have been an inmate who had just died instantly, from fire. So as a department, we also looked at the DNA sequencing, which also could not match with the person identified to be the mother. So as a department, we then concluded that this could not be Thabo Bester. Hence, we defined him as someone who has escaped from lawful custody. But the investigation by the SAPS is continuing because we have to establish who is this person that then died in cell 35, and also how was that body transported into that particular cell, because this is a correctional facility. You cannot just go in and out, and there are procedures in place, and something of this nature will then question if there was no breach in terms of security. An investigation that we've conducted has brought to the fore quite a number of elements that does require a much deeper inquiry. Hence, we are comfortable with the fact that the SAPS is still busy with its own investigation, and as we have also identified a number of people of interest.
Now, how far have you gone with your own internal investigation? Because I'd imagine that a breach of this nature in a maximum security facility would worry you.
We are extremely worried, and it is something that we said as a department will leave no stone unturned. We may have concluded as part of the investigation, which was specifically on the inmate, that we are saying now cannot be accounted for. But there is quite a number of other elements that we are looking at contractually now with the service provider, because that facility is one of the public-private partnerships being contracted to Bloemfontein correctional contracts, and G47 is running it. There's quite a number of things that we're looking at, and as a department, we've made it very clear that it's something that is not going to end now, and we have to get to the bottom of everything. And because the procedures are the same for all correctional facilities, be it a private one or the ones that we're operating ourselves as Correctional Services. And there is only one Correctional Services Act that all of us are following. So as a department, we are extremely worried, but we have to then get into the bottom of this.
Now, for all intents and purposes, this would point, I'd like to think without much of a doubt, that this was an internal job. Is that part of the area of focus for your investigation, that this could be an internal issue, an inside job?
We do take comfort from the fact that the SAPS is still seized with this particular matter. And we've already identified what we call persons of interest as a department, and SAPS will deal with that. But I wouldn't want to preempt the findings of that particular or lack of investigation. But as a department, there's quite a lot of things that we looked into, and we ask a number of questions to the service provider there, and we do need answers in terms of that, so that at no point we find ourselves again in a situation like this where, one, it takes a very long time to source relevant information. Number two, you've got something that is hard even to explain how did it happen. So as a department, it's something that we said we have to get into the bottom of it. And if it means it's even taking much longer period than what it has taken now, even to dig much deeper, so be it. But it's something that I think we owe it to all South Africans to explain in full, to say, beside Thabo Bester as a subject now, what else did really happen there?
Well, very quickly, something else that South Africans would look for an explanation to is the issue of Tom Motsepe, which is the pseudonym, if you will, of Thabo Bester. We understand from media reports that he was running a media business of sorts while in a prison. Is this information correct? And if so, how did he have access to this facility, Facebook and so on?
I wouldn't go into the details in terms of that, because that's part of the other detail that the SAPS will be looking into. But what was of focus to us was to say, how did this person die, and was everything done as per the policies and procedures, and what happened when the board was removed, how was it kept, and all other things that happened during those hours. But also, now, what else was in possession of this particular inmate, being Thabo Bester, and was it something that was supposed to be there? Because we had also picked up such reports that it's someone who may have been running other things whilst inside there. And as a department, it's important to check, was he having a mobile phone, which is a contraband, it's not supposed to be there. A laptop, a number of inmates will have laptops in their possession, because we've suffered a number of cases where we're losing them in court, where courts will say, no, we must give inmates laptops, but without internet connection. But once a person has a cell phone, it's difficult to monitor if that person is not going to sites or just to visit internet as such. So as a department, it's something that I think that a lack of the investigation will assist to that effect. But for now, at least we are saying what we have studied, and our findings do indicate that this body could not be of Thabo Bester. Then now the question is, where is Thabo Bester? And we have to find him.
As are many other questions, and that was at Singabakho Nxumalo, Department of Correctional Services, speaking to us this afternoon.